Today we frequently remember the 18th century as a time of elegance, etiquette, and social order, where everyone knew their place and stuck to it. It was also the time of the retreat of the mistress, where in England's aristocratic households it became unfashionable for a woman to have any part in household management. Instead, it became aspirational for a woman to become demonstratively leisured. But what happened to the women who weren't happy with the social order, who didn't want to retreat or sit and look pretty and be fashionably leisured? Some of them formed the Bluestocking Society and became some of England's greatest intellects. Hi, my name is Bose. I have an MA in Early Modern English History, and on this channel, we talk about the history you don't learn about in school. Today we're going to talk about the shocking history of the Bluestocking Society in 18th century England. What was the Bluestocking Society? In the mid-18th century, it was customary after a dinner for women to gather and play cards and drink and gossip according to men. It would have been improper for them to discuss any sort of intellectual ideas, especially with men. Consequently, a group of women decided that they wanted to discuss these intellectual ideas. So they formed the Bluestocking Society, which was never actually a formal society, but was given the name. This society would allow both men and women to discuss ideas without the usual social or gender constraints. Topics of discussion included literature, poetry, history, geography, and music. And the first meeting was held at Elizabeth Vesey's house in Bath. These meetings would later move to London with a fashionable season and growing number of Bluestocking women in London. Both men and women were invited as guests, and some notable male thinkers of England were invited, such as Samuel Johnson and Edward Burke. Why did the Bluestocking Society form then? In 18th century England, aristocratic women received a high degree of education, and although they were not allowed to go to university in England, they did receive an education in the form of private tutors, governesses, and some were even sent to boarding schools, where they would have received an education in what was necessary for household management, as well as embroidery, dance, and music. But they also would have been taught languages, and many aristocratic women spoke multiple languages, such as French, German, Italian, or Spanish. However, 18th century social constructs forbid women from talking and discussing any sort of intellectual ideas that may have made them look smarter than men. This is really encapsulated by a quote from a moralist, Dr. John Gregory, who wrote in his book, A Father's Legacy to His Daughter in 1774, this quote: "If you happen to have any profound learning, keep it a profound secret, especially from men, who look with a jealous and malignant eye on a woman of cultivated understanding." It was this ban of restriction on their intellect and education that fueled the forming of the Bluestocking Society, where these women that could then talk freely about their ideas and concepts with both female and male guests. Who were the Bluestocking Society members then? A number of women were involved in the Bluestocking Society. However, there are three key figures. Elizabeth Vesey, who set up the first meeting in her house in Bath. Frances Boscawen, who was frequently considered the sage of the society. Elizabeth Montagu, who was nicknamed the Queen of the Society, and had a room specially built in her house in London to host Bluestocking Society meetings. Elizabeth Montagu would continue to host meetings until she was well into her 80s. This is a painting by Richard Samuel in 1778, and it depicts 9 of the Bluestocking Society members. At this point, all of the society members depicted in this painting were self-supporting through their work, with the exception of Elizabeth Montagu, who was rumoured to be the most wealthy woman in England at this point. All of these women in this painting were also considered by many contemporaries to be professionals in their field. Where did the name the Bluestocking Society come from then? Early in the Society's history, an event happened which gave it its name. A botanist named Benjamin Stillingfeet arrived at Elizabeth Montagu's saloon as a guest of the society to give a talk. However, he mistakenly arrived in his blue stockings, which were worn by working men, instead of the customary aristocratic white silk stockings. Because of this, he might not have been allowed. Normally, he probably would not have been allowed admittance, or would have been too embarrassed to go in. However, Elizabeth Montagu welcomed him anyway, and giving the society its name, the Bluestockings, to refer to substance over style. What was the legacy of the Bluestocking Society? In their time, the Bluestockings did increase conversations about women's intelligence and education, and provided a space for them to have intellectual discussions on a level playing field with men. The Bluestockings supported each other's endeavours in publishing, and facilitated publishing for women lower down the social scale by supporting them. However, there were rivalries and competition within the society, and it is also important to note that it was made up of aristocratic women, so there was a big elitist element involved. However, the society did allow space for women to discuss ideas, something that there previously had never been. So for this reason, it did have a positive impact. However, this changed in the 19th century, when there was a backlash from male writers who feared that the Bluestockings' influence in publishing had driven down their sales of their work. Two notable writers who openly criticised the Bluestockings were Wordsworth and Lord Byron. Another writer, William Hazlitt, wrote that the Bluestocking is the most odious character in society, and the word Bluestocking became used as an insult to educated and ambitious women. While the Bluestocking Society's history is complicated, they did for a brief time, and if only for a few, put forward very modern ideas, and important ideas, that women should and could be part of intellectual conversations and discussions. Thank you for watching this week's video, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope that you'll come back and join us for some really random, really interesting history. Unfortunately, due to time constraints, I'm unable to produce a video next week, but make sure you come back on Sunday the 3rd of March for another top video on a really random, really interesting aspect of history. Thanks all for watching, and I hope to see you all soon. That's all for now. Bye!